Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection and failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of Girl Scouts USA. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.
Hi there, it's Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie. You can hear us now on 145 countries on iHeartRadio, iTunes, SiriusXM, C-Suite Network, and so many more networks out there. You want to be sure to subscribe with us on iTunes because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Now, do you have a desire to move up and be heard in the boardroom, or are you ready to go out and become an entrepreneurial leader? We have it all right here for you because we have incredible, unstoppable guests. Now, I do want to share a little bit. I've been sharing with you over the last, couple weeks, couple months, that there is always something going on with the Fife Group because we're just making it happen. We're unstoppable. And the podcast is rapidly growing. I've been speaking like crazy. The launch of our Women Who Dare Council has just been phenomenal. And we're most excited. I'm most excited because recently we partnered with this guy, a remarkable C-suite mentor. And we created together a new business, a new platform called C365. Now, C365 is a mentor and training company where we are working with C-suite executives one-on-one and also with their teams 365 days a year. Hence C365. So if you need a mentor for yourself, for your team, you want to develop and enhance that high performance within your team and again within yourself, you want to give us a call. And you could also head on over to c365.co, and you can learn more about my partner and myself. But this remarkable C-suite mentor is here with us right now today because he is co-hosting the show with me today. So let me tell you a little bit about him. He's Damon DeMoore. He has spent thousands of hours working one-on-one with hundreds of top CEOs, founders, executives, and creatives in North America. He's founded multiple startups, both raising millions in investment capital and bootstrapping from $0 to $1 million. And he did all of that in less than 3 months. So from Wall Street to Hollywood to the boardrooms of Fortune 100 companies to startups, the techniques and processes he employs they're just not academic. They've been tested and they've been validated in action at the highest levels of industry. Now, I'm going to throw it a little bit extra here, more than he has given me. He's also the former producer of a number of shows that you may have heard of, like The Apprentice and also The Undercover Boss. And that's only just to name a few of his programs, but he's here with us today. So I want to welcome him right now, Damon DeMoore. Welcome as my co-host today.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Love to have you here. So let me share my quote for today, which is success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. You will find that success. And that's from R. Collier. So let me take a really quick sponsor break. And when we come back, I will be introducing our unstoppable guest. Hi, this is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, your host of Up or Out with Connie. I am thrilled to be a headline show on C-Suite Network, where you can grow your brand, grow your tribe, and be unstoppable. We are the hottest podcast for entrepreneurs, C-level executives, and market leaders. And you can hear me each week right here on the C-Suite Network. Also on Conscious Business Network, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, and over 900 stations around the globe. Be sure to follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for listening. Be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable. We're back and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie. It's now time to turn up the volume because today our unstoppable guest is a sales expert, a coach and professional moderator. Her background includes sales, online learning, and professional speaking. She helps change behavior and transforms the lives of her clients through teaching award-winning programs that they deliver every day. She teaches at national conferences, seminars, and utilizes online video platforms. She's a professional moderator. She has worked with Buena Vista Pictures, DreamWorks Pictures, and is currently producing C-Suite TV series Run Towards the Roar with Jason Forrest. So welcome to Up or Out, Mary Marshall. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you, Connie. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here with us today, especially with Damon on board. I knew that this was going to be a perfect show, a perfect opportunity, because we have a couple of things that we were looking at. We're like, that's not quite so and how we see it. So today's show definitely is going to be a bit controversial. But you start and you work with people and you're hiring based on beliefs and not a resume. So I'm going to start by asking you to share more about that.
So I believe that when we first we are so blinded a lot of times by our impressions of people and how they connect with us. So for instance, my reason of not looking at a resume is if I look at it and go, oh, you know what? She's from North Carolina originally. My family's from North Carolina, and now I feel this connection that it may or may not actually pertain to whether she can do the job or not. Or like, oh, she's a sorority sister of mine from across the country. I mean, come on. I mean, I can't help but feel bonded to this person or feel a connection to this person when they might not actually be the right one. And so I don't actually go all the way through hiring without looking at a resume, but I definitely do first rounds of interviews and meet with people and speak to them on the phone without ever looking at their resume, because I don't want to look and go, oh, you know what? She's from Colorado, and my college boyfriend was from Colorado, and so now I can't have anybody from Colorado coming in this office and participating. So I want to make sure that I'm giving everybody as beautiful and as perfect and as honest of a chance, and I'm as clear as I can be when I first meet them.
So the Forrest Group has won the award for the best place to work. I believe it's 3 years in a row now.
Well, we have 2 years in a row locally. We're in Fort Worth, Texas. So locally, 2 years in a row, and then we just won nationally as well. We're on the national list.
Okay. So does your hiring strategies, I'm sure, attribute towards you receiving those awards?
Absolutely. Now, I'll say I love working at FPG. I love my job. We call ourselves lifers, the ones that come in and say, I'll never go anywhere else in the world. However, I really think a best place to work, I mean, anybody, don't tell Jason Forrest that I just said this, but any company can get best place to work. It's just 2 steps. It's knowing who you are and who you want to be and having a very direct focus, and then just finding people who believe that. So I think we've done a good job of finding people that believe what we believe. And because honestly, there's a lot of people that would come in here and not enjoy working here. I know that's true. So I think hiring has a huge part to play in the award.
Okay. So Damon and I were talking before, and of course we were stalking you and learning more about you and and sharing more with Damon. So we have a challenge for you, because one of the things that you say is hiring with the assumption that they won't be better than at the interview. So Damon, I'm going to hand this one off to you.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit more clarification on what you meant by that statement before I kind of dove into it, because I had an immediate impression in my own head, but I wanted to kind of dive in past the one sentence.
Just like so many of my girlfriends and dating, and definitely I've never been this person, but you meet someone and you think about everything that they could be and how you could change him and how wonderful it could be. And so to me, I think a lot of times in hiring, we do the same thing. We like see them, we're like, oh, but I just like them. And, you know, they're my sorority sister and this, and they're this sweet little project, and we cannot hire a project. If you're hiring a project, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And so how do you instead, you need to know that you are okay if they show up every day exactly like they did at the interview. If that's who comes to work every day, are you okay with that? Is that good enough to be there? So I think hire as if this is as good as they're ever going to be. Now, once they're there, you should coach them and help them to become a better version of themselves. But you need to be okay with the person who showed up at the interview showing up to work the next day.
Yeah, because I'm also someone who doesn't look at resumes when I hire. I hire based on personality. And I mean, I didn't graduate college, and I rose to run one of the biggest trading desks of one of the biggest firms on Wall Street, and go to film school, produce the biggest TV shows on TV. I'm a practical learner, so I look at people as raw talent. So, and knowing that they might not be their best in an interview, when I interview people to work for me or one of my companies, I look at them as kind of a project. I guess it's different in dating, but I kind of look at them and say, is there some underlying fire where this person wants to make themselves better in some capacity? And then how can I bring that out of them when they're working with me? So I kind of look at them as a work in progress the moment that they interview with me, knowing that they're going to be thrust into the fire and probably have to change their perceptions on work ethic, mindset, all those things that I do a little bit differently than other people. So when I read that, I said, oh my God, I hope nobody's only as good as the first day that I meet them in an interview.
But at the same point, don't you think a lot of times that people are showing you their best self or as good as they are right then at the interview? I mean, to me, like if you're late to an interview, you don't get to come in an interview. If you do, I mean, you've got to show up at a certain level there. Do we agree on that?
I agree on it to a point, because I'm also do a ton of dating, kind of a power dater in LA. So I
wait a minute, is this a match cup show?
I am. So, but I do believe if you meet enough people, whether it's an interview process or a dating process, that you can tell after the first couple of minutes what are the pre-programmed things that they're checking off their list to make a good impression for, and kind of what's the raw underneath, like what are the insecurities that they have. So I agree with that to a point. I still agree that the things you're getting in an interview, you can kind of tell what's pre-programmed and kind of what's out of their comfort zone. And if the things that are out of their comfort zone are things that are your strengths as a leader, as a manager, that you can work with, I think then that's a great match. Because they're always going to appreciate you more and be more loyal because you help them realize those strengths that were being untapped.
So I'm going to jump in when you talk about strengths, because I'm of the believer that people are going to come with skills, but though that personality and fitting into the culture, that's what I look at. Are they approachable? Are they manageable? Are they lifetime learners? Because, they could come and say, yes, I have XYZ degree, but if they're not going to fit into the culture of the organization, then it's not going to work for me. I'd rather take someone that's going to be more fit into the organization and then mentor them and teach them those skills on the back end.
Yeah, and just to go back to that, like I've interviewed people for jobs for very specific positions, but I've seen raw talent in them that hasn't been tapped. And even though I knew I was hiring them for that position, I knew that 6 months down the line, they wouldn't be doing that if they stayed to work for me, that I was going to be able to groom them into something else that they didn't even see for themselves. Mm-hmm. So in that instance, I wouldn't want them to be as good as they were in the interview. I would want them to have the potential for much more. Okay. But I understand where it came from. So
Good. Well, I think it's interesting, this idea of uncomfortable too, because right now, so I'm hiring several positions right now internally, and not all on sales. Now, when other people hire me to hire their salespeople for them, and I think when it comes to salespeople, you need to make them very uncomfortable, because sales is very uncomfortable. And to me, the word okay, what's the one word that salespeople, Connie? What's the one word salespeople hear more than anything else? It's not a trick question. It's just
no,
right?
Right.
You're no, like you're no over and over again. So another thing, and this I'm bringing this up because people get very upset with me about this, and so I just feel like we just need to put it all out there. I believe that when you're hiring salespeople and you find the one that you go, this is the one. This is the one I'm going to hire. This is the right one for my team. And I look at on all positions, just like you were saying with culture, I look at three things. One is where your work ethic. Do they fit into the culture, and can they do the job? And so can they do the job? If I'm hiring a salesperson, I call them and I tell them, I am so sorry. I have filled the position. Thank you so much for your time. Because I need to tell them no, because when they come work here, they're going to hear no over and over and over.
Right.
Do they go? Exactly. Do they go, okay, thanks so much. Call me if something else opens. Or do they say, wait a second, who did you choose over me? Wait a second, let me fight back for this. Right. And so I do that all the time, and I win sales that way too. There was a guy last week who called me and said, Mary, we decided to go with another sales training company. And I was like, no freaking way. There's no. Mm-mm. So I told him all the reasons why I thought that we should keep this conversation going. And I said, I'll do one thing for me. Call the person that you say you're going with. Call that training company and tell them no, and see if they fight the way that I do. Because if they can't, then they can't teach your sales team how to overcome a cancellation. They can't come back. So just do that. And he called me back 30 minutes later and he said, you're right. They said, okay, you're hired. You just got tell them no.
Well, that's a good strategy, a little backdoor strategy, but that definitely works. I remember one time when I was doing more sales, and I had gotten to know. I found out the guy was a fly fisherman, and I sent him the fly fisherman hooks, and he was actually found out also that he was competing in a competition that week, and I sent him directly FedEx him to the competition where he was at, and I said, "You will hire me for this sales position." And I got it.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I love that's the warrior-like work ethic. That's what kind of crazy unleashed things will you do? And that's one of them. I love it.
And that's exactly it. So what else is going on? Like what's next for you?
Well, right now, it's great. I love this time of year because it's this content creation and the new stuff, and we look back and do all the research on what's been working and where are we going to go from here, and what is the next leading edge material that we want to, from looking at the research with all of our clients, and go forward. So it's a really fun time for that. Just getting through conference season, which is wonderful, and then getting ready. I've got my first. I will be at the International Builder Show in about 5 weeks, and I have a debate. And I've never had a debate.
Awesome.
They have 4 sales trainers they're putting up to debate. So I'm very excited for that.
Oh,
and
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How can we help practice? We'll do some role play.
Oh, I know. Right. This is perfect. I let you started with, and there's going to be a challenge. Like, that's right. Perfect. Perfect. Let's keep going with it. I like that. I will tell you the new thing that we in this time of what's new, and seeing what works is, and another thing that got us into some heated talks last year, which was to ask a sales professional, ask them, why did you go into sales? And what you want to look for is if they tell you how they did it and they give you a story, so they're procedural based, because I believe you got to follow a process, versus they tell you, like, I'm a people person, or how many people that I interview, they're like, I just really wanted to make a lot of money fast and buy a fancy car. So if they give you a why, if you ask them why, if they give you a why, cut them. If they tell you how and they tell you a story, they're going to follow processes and they're perfect. But I will tell you, that for hiring executives, that tends to be one that they get up, they don't want to do, or they don't believe me at first until they do it a couple of times.
So they don't believe that you need to look at the strategy versus the why. Is that what
correct?
I mean?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I believe if you're going to be successful in sales, it is process. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this order, and it's my process. As opposed to the sales professionals, just in all of them, we look at the ones that go where you ask them, like, hey, do you treat every customer different? And they're like, yeah, I mean, every person that comes in is so different. And so I treat them differently. And it doesn't work, and it's fun, and but they're not successful. They're not closing for you. So getting them to not treat everyone differently and treat everybody following the same process is, I think, one of the most important things.
And that is a really good point. And Damon, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but where you get salespeople that are out there and then where they're fluffy and they're talking to everybody, but they're not closing the deal. They don't close a deal.
I've seen it before and I've experienced it, and a lot of them take it as an attack on their personality when you tell them, and they're just not a right fit.
Right. It's like, where's the money? Where's the money? I had a guy that came to me years ago, and he was highly recommended as a salesperson. And this is before I really started going into doing personality assessments and things like that. But I had my license at that time, but I wasn't using it when I was hiring. So he came highly recommended. It was still back when I was on the East Coast. And I was like, okay, I'll give him a 3-month trial. Let's see what happens. And every week he would come in. So what are you doing? What are you doing? So just like you, Mary, and that was an era of judgment in my part because he was working on the why. He wasn't working on that strategy. So I sat him down. I said, okay, well, I'm building out a process for you. We're going to do some projections, and here's the sales sheets. And I went through them with him, and I said, are you good? And I'm good. He comes back a week later, nothing on the sales sheets, no projections, no nothing. And then I called my husband in because he's a half owner of the company. And I said, well, maybe it's a female guy, a guy-girl thing. I said, would you have a conversation? So he has the conversation, and he says, yep, got it. And well, I didn't even make it to 2 months, and Bob was gone. Because just like you said, there was no strategy. He was working on the why, and you could bring some of that why into the strategy, but you still need to have those steps in place. So yeah, he was.
It's true, and you know what? It is our fault a lot of the time for the type of ads that we place, for how we conduct interviews, and we spend so much time selling the company we work for, selling the role, that we don't take the time to say, here's what it's actually going to take, and you're going to follow this process. And there's so many companies, they just get themselves in trouble saying, it's just so great. Let me just tell you how great it is to work here and how much fun you're going to have. And we have all this flexibility, and you can, just earn what you're worth. But really, if you want to earn what you're worth, you got to work it. You got to work hard, and you have to follow the process.
You can't just sit there. So his name was Bob. So every time I do something, I'm like, it's all about Bob. Like, let's not. Okay, that was a Bob story.
Don't be Bob.
Yeah, don't be Bob. So yeah, definitely lesson learned. So so we have our hot seat now, Mary. We have to get to that. So I know you're doing sales training now, but I want to know if right from the very start, did you know what you wanted to do?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And honestly, I don't know what I want to be doing like next year. I want to be here and on this mission, but I don't exactly know what I want to be doing. So absolutely not.
Figure out what I would do when I grow up, right?
Yeah. I think it all, one thing goes to another. I mean, I started out in college. I saw my parents dropped me off and said, get a job if you want to ever go out or buy clothes or food or anything. And so I found a flyer that said highest paid on-campus job, and I didn't have a car. So this is below the line. This stays in our vault here. I took the flyer down, took it with me, called the number, and I learned my first lesson ever that day, which was if somebody advertises a job, they only tell you it's high paying, they don't tell you what the job is, it's because it's a really bad job. So I was making 100 cold calls a night to parents, friends of the university, asking them for money.
Got it.
And hated it, and then learned to love it. And then so when eventually somebody offered me a sales job, I was like, wait a second. I'm going to ask them for money, and when they give it to me, I get to give them something in return. Like this is the easiest job in the entire world, and so it's just evolved. It's just evolved from there. Yep, kept going.
So I know, Damon, you had another question too.
One of the things that you mentioned, or that Connie likes to say, is that most folks face a lot of challenges before they succeed. I think one of the Major League Baseball stats she cited was like 7 out of times they don't succeed before they do. And I've had a number of times where I thought that I was failing, but it actually was a step forward in the right direction, because you need to connect the dots. So can you give me give us an example of some time in your career on your path from college to here where you thought it might have been a setback, but it was actually something that created a foundation for doing what you do now so well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I decided to drop out of college in my 4th year, before graduation, and I went and became a bartender, which my parents were very, very upset with me with all of my years of private school. And then here I am. And this wasn't like fancy bartending. This is, it's called The Pub. It's amazing. But it's a hole in the wall, t-shirts, jeans, ponytail sort of pitchers of beer. And I worked there for 2 years. And what's interesting is that was a pivotal time in my life because I learned how to run a business. I remember going to the owner and saying, hey, will you show me how to read a P&L sheet? Will you show me how to do inventory? I'll stay late. You don't have to pay me, but can you show me how to do this? I learned how to manage people. I ended up, right about training people and managing people. And then if you can manage drunk people at a bar, like you can manage an apartment. I mean, and then on top of all of that, it was the people, it was a everybody knows your name kind of bar. And so I spent all night telling stories and trying to connect people and listening. And so all of that together, I think now when I look back at all the jobs that I've had and you could see you read out a beautiful resume and all of those things did help contribute to where I am. But the real thing that made me successful was bartending at the university pub across the street from TCU. And so but everybody, the funny thing is everybody would come in and you could see in their eyes, they'd be like, what happened? Like, what went wrong in your life that you're here? And I would just smile and say, I'm okay. Thanks so much for checking in. Just thank God I had those years. I mean, the leader, the owner of the bar, Dave, he taught me so much. And so I'm very, very grateful for that time that everyone else saw as a huge failure.
It's funny that you actually say the serving and bartending with dealing with drunk people, because my first boss on Wall Street only hired assistants who had been barbacks or waiters, because he figured if you could handle the chaos of a busy Saturday night restaurant, you could handle the chaos of a trading floor.
Maybe that's awesome. Maybe that's the theme here, because I didn't finish college either, but I did go back a couple of years ago and I did complete my final year. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I got this far. Like, I might as well go back and finish it. I mean, I worked my way through Girl Scouts with not finishing my degree. And then when they did the realignment, they're like, oh, we only want people with degrees. I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny. I went back and finished, but nobody here looks at resumes. Like nobody even knows that I went back and got it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I went back and tried to finish, and then I started another business and stopped.
There you go.
But the other theme here is we've all been barbacks. We've all done it, because I did it too as well. I did it. Oh gosh, I think for about 5 years, and it was in the Donkey Cafe. It was actually my family's restaurant, and that was the name of it. But I know exactly what you're talking about. It was jeans, it was t-shirts, it was pictures of the beer. The fanciest drink that I would probably make would be like rum and Coke. Yeah, like, something really simple, or vodka and orange juice. Okay, we got that. It's so funny, and the things that you'll do too, like I cleaned bathrooms and ashtrays every night, and so people now say, well, yeah, will you do this? Can you do that? For 2 years, I cleaned bathrooms at a pub and cleaned out ashtrays every day. Like, trust me, I can handle whatever's thrown at me. Yeah. I'll do it. I can handle it. Yeah. And I lived so close. Whenever somebody'd be off, they'd call me, and okay, I'll work, because I was a single mom. And it's like, yeah, just give me the hours that you can. And so, I cleaned the kitchens, cleaned bathrooms, bartended, and like you said, dealt with those drunks. But I think that I agree with both of you that they were really good life lessons. To say
you got to learn to hustle.
Yeah. Oh yes, and it's hustling. You're carrying. I can never carry a tray, so I was always like, like my arms like this, carrying all these trays.
Well, and you learn the workarounds, because I can't carry a tray either. So
okay.
You got to learn the workarounds. Right. How do you make it work when you have no hand balance? I don't know what it is. I can't do it either. So, but I could. You know what I was really good at? Talking other people into carrying that tray for me.
That's good.
Hello, sales. Here we are.
Oh my God! And then talk about dating. My cousin worked there, and of course, I was dating at the time, and we would start losing customers, because then we would date them again. So we made a pact that no more dating the customers, because we're losing customers.
Perfect. Yep. Nope. Yep. You can't do that. I never dated a customer for the same reason, but only because I thought, you know what? I can't have anybody messing with my money. Yeah. I can't have you coming in here
That's right.
shooing people off and messing with my money.
That's right. And
I'm hustling.
That's right. We were hustling. So do you have any parting words for those entrepreneurial, for the young women or men that are still trying to pursue their path to their success?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I think what is so fun, kind of you brought up about this conversation, is look at all these different things that we've done that it wasn't a straight line to success. It was not a straight line to the C-suite. But what's in common is that we said yes. Yeah. We said yes to everything. We didn't say, I don't clean bathrooms. We didn't say, no, I don't do that. It was just say yes. And if you ends up being something that you love, most of the jobs, the first time that Jason asked me to speak and to train, I said, yes, I will do that. But are you sure that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or that I can do this? Like, am I going to be able to do it? I'll say yes, but have the doubts. Doubts are okay. Just say yes. If it's something that you don't end up not liking, great. Something you don't want to do. Right. But you might find out something that you love. So say yes.
Just say yes. Love it. Love it. Damon, do you have anything that you want to add?
Only to reinforce what Mary just said, I actually got a friend of mine a job interview today. I set it up for her last week, and she texted me last night and said, "Oh, it's Orange County. Should I really go?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, you need a job?" She's like, "Well, I try not to go out of LA." And it's like, you have to meet everybody once. That's my networking rule from Wall Street, from Hollywood. Everybody's worth one cup of coffee, one meeting. And she drove all the way down to Orange County today and then texted me on the way back and said, "It was amazing. He's got 2 potential positions for me." It's like, you need to get out there. Yeah. You just put yourself out in the universe. Nothing comes to you. The diamonds aren't floating on top of a lake. You have to dig for them.
Right. You have to go after it. And that's how Damon and I were like, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. And then we just started having this conversation and things flowed. It just started happening. So all good. It's all good. So that's all we have time for today. But Mary, let our listeners know how they can find you and learn more about you.
Yes, you can go to FPG, that stands for Forrest Performance Group, FPG.com. And I've got videos and training and books, and everything is right there on that site.
So yes, Mary is awesome. You want to check her out. That's FPG.com. And I know she's all over the social media pages. Just look for Mary Marshall at FPG. So thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Mary, for being here. And Damon, thank you for being today's co-host. You were just phenomenal today. I loved it.
Thank you for having me.
And to all our listeners, be sure to subscribe with us on iTunes because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Now, I've promised that we have a special gift for you. It's the holidays and, it's a time of giving. I am giving a 30-minute mentor session with me. 30 minutes. All you need to do is go to iTunes and subscribe. Do a screenshot and just send it to me in an email. That's it. And I will get you on my calendar. We'll do a 30-minute mentor session and to see, where your challenges are, where you need help, and how we can help you develop those high-performance habits. And always, if there's a topic that you want to hear more about or a guest to recommend, send an email to me at teamfife@fifegroup.com. It's been great being here with you today. Ask yourself, if there's something you could do different to get a different result, what would that be? You're listening to Up or Out with Connie. And until next time, be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable together.